We are back at 8:13 with today's consumer. As many Americans continue to work remotely, did you know your bosses may be tracking your activity through company-issued phones and computers?
Yeah, they're using software commonly known as Tattleware. And NBC senior consumer investigative correspondent Vicky Nguyen joins us with what that means. I think we got an idea.
Yeah, indeed. It's right there in the name, isn't it? Good morning. These software programs started as a way for employers to keep an eye on what you're doing and to monitor for things that could get the company in trouble. Think insider trading or accepting bribes. Well, this software, also known as Bossware, is now much more common on our tablets, laptops, and phones. And the software can learn a lot more about you. So here's what you need to know, plus what you can do to protect your privacy.
At first, we were all sent home with our equipment.
Jen Garcia was working from home as a systems engineer when she found a program on her company-issued computer that could take pictures of what was on her screen at any time.
Did it feel like an invasion of your privacy?
Yeah, definitely. We had no idea that this had been deployed.
In fact, if you work at a company with more than 500 employees, Harvard business ethics professor J.S. Nelson says you should expect some form of surveillance software to be on your devices.
You definitely need to think about being photographed, listening through your microphone, keystroke logging software. So recording what you are typing at any given time, what websites you're going to, who you're communicating with.
The scenarios you're describing are scary, but are they actually happening?
Yes. When COVID-19 pushed people to work remotely who could work remotely, we saw sales of workplace surveillance software more than triple.
A recent study by an internet privacy firm found 68% of bosses and 47% of IT departments can access recordings from corporate devices. And it can get really personal. For example, did your company's wellness program provide fitness monitors like Fitbits? Nelson warns all that biometric data, your weight, heart rate, body temperature, and more, could be used by your company.
When a company says, we need this kind of monitoring for our employees who are working from home, what's wrong with it? What do you say?
I don't think it's thought through very well. Companies are not as aware as they should be about the downsides of these choices and the message that they are sending to the people who work for them. Which is that we don't trust you.
Don't be sneaky.
Jason Demers is CEO of Email Analytics. Their software tracks email traffic and response times for customer service and sales. He says the program only reveals the subject line, not the content of the message. He says the software increases email response times by nearly 43%.
How do companies balance their need for productivity against the employees' right to privacy?
We're all trying to figure out what's that right balance right now. What does work from home? What's okay? And where's the boundary at? We draw the line at seeing what is actually being written in the emails.
If you have work-issued technology at home, experts say avoid using it for personal activity. Use a separate phone and computer. And find a private space at home where your devices can't see or hear what your family is doing.
You need to demand accountability and transparency from your employer so that you know exactly what is going on in your own home.
Jen Garcia says she left her last job in part because of that surveillance software.
You're looking at your machine most of the day, and it's completely natural to check your personal email or something like that. And so at any moment, you can have something potentially very private exposed to your employer.
Well, experts say the explosion in sales of this surveillance software shows that employers are looking for ways to manage their staff remotely. But they say really it is up to companies to be transparent and to review the ethics involved when the software is now being used in so many more workers' homes. It's not just in the company workspace.
You know, Vicky, it feels like spying, but is there some spin to this? Like, is there any benefit to the employees at all?
So the company would say, yes, absolutely. Let's say they get data showing that an employee is working overtime. Like, why is Savannah working so many hours? Maybe she's at risk of burnout. Then they can address that, right? So they would say that's positive. The other thing, if you hate all those video conferences and meetings and calls, there's a company called ActiveTrack. They monitor employee productivity, and they found that those meetings and video calls are the #1 disruption to employee focus. So that might mean you get fewer meeting invites once the managers realize these meetings are kind of taking away from the bottom line.
No more pop start from home.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
That's just crazy. You're right, though. The pool of data that they must have access to is one thing, but when would they ever sift through it? Unless there was a red flag, like our Nest cameras record outside when there's movement, and you don't ever reference it unless you realize something's missing.
Exactly.
Like, you'd have to have 500 more employees to go through the data that's accumulated by any one person. But
unless you get a tip and you want to dig deeper, something Willie's
doing. If you're really worried
about
it, I guess try to do a second.
It's eye-opening, nonetheless.
Bonfire for our phones later?
Yes, exactly. Resignation letters for all? Okay, great. Vic, thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Find your favorite recipes, celebrity interviews, uplifting stories, shop our favorite deals, and so much more with the Today app. Download it now.